Welcome to our weekly roundup of key economic and business developments in Sri Lanka for the week ending 10th March 2023. I'm Nishani Figuera. Before we get into the top stories, our YouTube channel just crossed the 1000 subscriber mark. We thank you for your valuable support. Here are the top stories for this week. IMF board approval likely by March 20th. President speaks with US Treasury Secretary. Rupee continues to gain as Fitch maintains a higher year-end forecast. Local government elections set for 26th of April. In our main story, in a significant development, the International Monetary Fund said that its board will meet on the 20th of March to consider approving the staff-level agreement for financing under an extended fund facility. This is as Sri Lanka has received financing assurances from major bilateral creditors, with China giving written support for Sri Lanka's debt restructuring via the Export-Import Bank of China on Monday. The multilateral lending agency also commented that board approval would catalyze financing from creditors such as the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank. For more on the matter, we spoke with economic analyst Imran Furkhan.
Thank you for the questions. In terms of the IMF agreement, the board agenda for the IMF Executive Board meeting on the 20th of March lists the approval of Sri Lanka's staff-level agreement reached with the IMF in September 2022 as one of the items. Usually from historical precedent, they do not list any item on the IMF Executive Board agenda unless there is broad consensus that it would be approved. Sri Lanka has got external debt commitments from its largest external debtors. They will meaningfully participate in the debt restructuring activities. And in addition to that, Sri Lanka has also fulfilled all of the conditions in the staff level agreement in terms of preliminary fiscal and monetary adjustments that needed to be made. So I do believe that the agreement would be approved on the 20th of March. Structuring, I think all debt analysis done by even our central bank and also our IMF in particular, and our external providers like Lazard and so on, and also even the credit rating agencies really demonstrate that our both external and domestic debt are unsustainable. And I think there will be some sort of domestic debt restructuring for the simple reason that even the external creditors do not want a situation where we go down the road and then we have to restructure this again, or we have to default in the worst case scenario. And I think there will be some sort of domestic debt restructuring. What form it takes is to be speculated, but I think most preferable and one that they might most likely consider is a maturity extension, as opposed to say a coupon cut or a haircut or both. But it depends on the negotiations that go forward. But I do believe strongly that there will be some sort of domestic debt restructuring as well.
On Monday, President Ranil Wickremesinghe and US Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen held discussions. During the discussions, Janet Yellen had expressed support for Sri Lanka's steps towards an IMF program to advance economic reform and achieve a strong and durable recovery. The Sri Lankan rupee continued to make significant gains this week. From Tuesday, the trading ban on the currency as well as the surrender rule on proceeds and remittances were lifted. From last week, the currency has now gained 15%, making it, according to Bloomberg, the best performing currency in the world against the US dollar. According to the central bank, large amounts of foreign currency which has been stashed away are now being released to the market. However, Fitch Solutions maintained its forecast for the rupee to weaken to 390 per dollar by year-end. They cited the country's significant external debt repayment needs, the need to build up its foreign reserves buffer over the coming months, as well as tightening global monetary conditions to place downside pressure on the rupee. Local government elections are rescheduled for the 26th of April. This follows the Supreme Court issuing an order to Treasury Secretary Mahinda Siriwardena, preventing him from withholding funds allocated for such elections via the Budget 2023. Originally scheduled to be held on the 9th of March, elections were not initiated as funds to print ballot papers were not released by the relevant government agency. In other news, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka urged chief executive officers of licensed finance companies and specialized leasing companies to provide appropriate concessions to businesses and individuals affected by the macroeconomic crisis. It noted three key measures: restructuring and rescheduling of credit facilities, suspending recoveries of non-performing credit facilities, and encouraging early settlement of facilities by applying a reduced rate for early settlement. On tourism, the SLTDA reported 24,363 tourist arrivals during the 6 days of March. This upward trend follows February arrivals, which were over 107,000. The second consecutive month 100,000 was crossed since 2019. Year to date, just over 227,000 travelers have visited, with Russia being the main source market. And now let's take a look at the weekly movement of the all-share price index and the S&P SL20 index at the Colombo Stock Exchange. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all maturities fell for the second week. Of the 228 billion rupees worth of bids received, 85 billion were accepted. And with that, we wrap up for the week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for more updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.